Um, like, you know, the dreaded filler word. When I first became aware of my filler words, I was genuinely horrified. And the worst part was I didn't even know that I was doing it until I saw a video of myself speaking on stage in Boston, USA, and suddenly there it was. Um, at the end of almost every sentence. And the problem is, once you hear it and once the audience hears it, that's the only thing that people can actually hear. It doesn't matter what else we say, they're just fixating on those filler words. It was so embarrassing. It sounded a bit like my mind was kind of buffering in real time. Have you ever watched yourself back and thought, oh, is that what I really sound like? If so, you are not alone. Today, I'm going to show you what I have learned on how to clean up those filler words so that they are no longer a problem when you are speaking in public. First up, let's have a look at why we actually use filler words. Now, what I've discovered is that filler words are actually a stress response, and they appear when our brains start overthinking or when we don't trust the silence. We just feel this pressure to keep on talking no matter what. We don't want silence when we speak. It also jumps up when we feel nervous that we might be judged by our audience. Now, what most people do is they stop trying to say the filler words, the ums, the ahs, the you knows, whatever it might be. And that makes them overthink every word that they have to say, which can actually make the problem so much worse because this can create really tight breathing. Your mind can go completely blank. And in fact, what I've seen happen with all of the students that I've trained in public speaking is that trying to eliminate a word actually ends up creating more filler words. So we've kind of replaced one with another and then start stacking them up just to add so much more value to our filler words. From my 2 decades of public speaking training and speaking in public, I've built up a powerful but simple framework to help teach public speaking skills to executives and business owners. And I call it the P3 framework. It's focusing on prepare a speech, practice a speech, and present a speech. And you can actually prepare and practice controlling those filler words when we are in a presentation situation. Now, these are the 3 tools that I have found really work so well, and one is a little bit quirky. Tip number 1, I call it the silence switch. Instead of trying to simply remove or eliminate filler words, what I've found works so much better is to give our brains a better option and to replace the fillers with silence. Now, here is the big secret that took me a while to learn, and I'm so grateful that I did. Silence as a speaker can feel really scary to us, right? But the crazy thing is, to our audience, it sounds like we're super confident. Weird, right? The thing is, silence equals authority. It actually makes us sound better, more confident speakers. Wild, right? So here's how it works. Practice pausing for 2 full seconds every time you feel an or an ah or one of your filler words coming on. So you feel it's coming on, you kind of catch it behind your tongue and stop. Do you hear what I just did? I counted to 2. Now this retrains our brain into realizing that thinking time, which we sometimes need in our speaking situations, equals power, not panic. So thinking time equals power, not panic. Most filler words are going to happen at the end of a sentence or at the point when there would be a punctuation mark, like a comma if we had written the words down. So we can absolutely prepare for this. When we're practicing our talk, whenever there would be a full stop or kind of a punctuation mark on paper, that's when we add a physical stop deliberately in our talk. And I actually, when I'm writing out my speeches, I write the word pause in great big letters on my page so that when I'm rehearsing, I know that's a place that I should stop. When you've built in those stops, it helps to really eliminate some of the stress about trying to remember where you're at. So a full stop equals a full breath. In other words, every time we finish a sentence, take one deliberate breath before starting the next one. Now, this is a super tip because it also helps to prevent that rushing or the rambling or the using of the filler words. So it's kind of like the trifecta of success. The bottom line is, if as a speaker we can control the silence, we can control the filler words. Tip number 2, chewing gum. Now this sounds odd, but it works. If you practice your talk out loud while you're chewing gum, it forces our mouths to slow down and become more deliberate with the words that we use. Of course, when we remove the gum, our speech can then be cleaner and clearer. Now, the important thing here, guys, is remember to remove the gum before you start the talk for real. That's a great way to practice and eliminate those filler words. Tip number 3, I call this the description drill. It can be super helpful to practice speaking without fillers by talking about a completely different subject. So pick an object near you, for example, and I've got this pink calculator here, and I would describe this out loud for 30 seconds using pauses only, no fillers. So it's basically just verbal diarrhea with the focus being not on what I'm saying, but on pause. Silence instead of scrambling for sound to fill it back up. So those are my 3 tips for controlling filler words. Switch to silence and do drills on description, confident and powerful on stage in front of our audiences. We just need better control of the spaces between the words. When we learn to trust that silence, next time with more public speaking tips for business owners and executives. Bye for now.